is off the grid. It's all of the music business heritage.
Let's leave more false rumors
And modern contemporary.
Provide the information that you need to thrive as an independent, to build a climb of leverage and carve out true empowered success.
Knowledge equals empowerment, and empowerment equals freedom.
Welcome to episode 7.
What's going on, Mr. Huntsberry?
Mr. Cross, how you doing today, sir?
Man, any day above ground, Mr. Huntsberry.
It's
man.
a blessing.
It's a blessing. We can still make a difference. Man.
Excited about this show, man.
Man, what you think about this off the grid? You still feeling it,
I'm
man?
feeling this off the grid. I mean, I'm really feeling the fact that, like I said before, we can spread the word.
Yes.
What's so funny about it is it's happening all around us.
Yes, sir.
And as we continue to spread the news,
Right.
We're seeing other people
Right.
that are enthralled in the fight.
Man, that's what's up.
So what we decided to do, people, is we're going to start posting all these things up on the site.
Right.
So you guys can see.
Yes.
There are many heretics out here.
Huntsberry, man, we about to be chomping at the bits, man. Let's get this show kicked off.
All right. Let's do it.
What is off the grid and why movement is necessary? Our definition of off the grid means that an artist, band, or independent record label has decided to maintain ownership and control over their master recordings and to work their musical project using their own sources of revenue, their own connection points, and their own grind points. Off the grid is a concept that is created from the bottom up, meaning that you don't allow a corporate conglomerate to tell you what type of music is or is not acceptable, marketable, relevant, or permissible for you to create and pursue. Huntsberry, man.
Things you need to know.
I'm excited about this particular segment. Alright, percentages is what we're going to talk about. In the last episode, we dealt with song splits and the importance of keeping up with the paperwork on who did what related to original composition. But what we want to do this episode is expand on that. Again, we're not trying to lecture. We don't want to make the show boring. But we do want to make sure we give you practical information on how to do this thing off the grid. Now, related to the percentages, the way they work in a number of ways, but the most common way percentages work on these compositions are, I like to use the example of a pie, Mr. Huntsberry.
All right.
And so, it's only so many slices of a pie. All right? And so when we look at a pie, half the pie would belong to whoever did the lyrics.
Okay.
Or what we commonly call the songwriter.
Okay.
The other half of the pie would belong to the composer, or what we commonly call the producer.
Right.
All right. So whoever did the lyrics, they get one half of the pie and walk away with it. And then the pie remaining goes to the composer or producer, and they get the other half.
So music get half, lyrics get the other half.
There you go.
All right.
Now, if we have more people on either side of that equation, either helping writing lyrics or helping compose music, then quite naturally that section of the pie, that half, becomes divided.
So if I did the music and two other people did the lyrics, they stay out of my half, right?
Yeah, your half is not affected.
Y'all going on with that. But anyway.
There you go. That's perfect. So they get a chance. They split their piece now from a half into a fourth.
Right.
Right? But you still keep your half.
Well, what? I don't mean to make this complicated, but what if the person came in and wrote the hook, and then the other person wrote the 3 verses? How does that work?
Okay, now that's when I go to the situation of you have to work it out.
Okay.
And what we recommend, just like we did last episode on the split sheets, is you have those conversations first.
Okay.
Get it understood before everybody leaves the session, the songwriting session, so that everybody knows how much pie they get a chance to eat.
Yeah, so that selective amnesia
won't come up.
Okay, I got you.
Now, the way I normally see it done, Mr. Huntsberry, just to answer your question, the hook is given equal weight as the 3 verses.
Ah, that's a good way to do it.
Yeah, so if you got a 3/16 bar verses, then the hook would be considered as a 4/16.
I need to
for
come
all
in and
practical purposes.
write some verses. But anyway,
Yes,
go
sir.
ahead.
That's it. So on the other side, with producers, if you got a co-writer that's helping you hook up music, then again, let's say Mr. Hunsberry did all the lyrics, but then I'm coming in with the music, and I have somebody help me with the music as the sole writer of the lyrics. You get your whole you get your whole half of the pie,
Right.
and whoever helped me with the music, they divide that section of the pie with me.
Okay, now I got another question.
Okay, so hit me. Don't hit me.
I'm not trying to make it difficult,
yes, you
but
are.
I do understand that people want to know these questions.
Yes, that's why I say
These answers. So what if you're a band?
Okay, man, that is so beautiful, boy. That's why I love you, man. Y'all just don't understand. I love this boy. Okay, now with the band, it works various ways. Now you have a band like the Beatles. Okay, now with the band like the Beatles, what they did was Paul McCartney and John Lennon, they split. Even if one wrote something, they considered themselves a songwriting team.
Right.
Okay. But the other band members did not participate.
Okay.
It was just John and Paul that was writing the bulk of the material.
Okay.
All right. Now, if I know George Harrison wrote some things. If he wrote something, then he got sole credit for it. So the way that band operated was whoever actually did the writing, that's who got paid.
Okay. Okay.
Now you got some other bands though, they don't care who writes it. All the band participate and are treated like co-composers.
That's like a real band.
It's like communists.
Yeah.
I don't mean to say communists.
It's like a village. We take care of each other. Yeah.
Right. So quite naturally, if there's 5 members of the band, then that pie is going to be sliced in 5 different.
Keeps that animosity down.
Yes, sir. But
Right.
hey, that is the thing you need to know to make this thing work. That's the segment that we're focusing in on in terms of the information for this episode, is how these percentages work. The best way to understand it, Mr. Hunsberry, like we just described, is a pie. And it's just so many pieces, and it's best to figure out how big your slice is once the song is completed, as opposed to just waiting 2 or 3 months after the fact and then trying to say, well, man, I thought I was going to get half the pie. There you go.
All right.
All right, sir.
Soldier. Off the grid, soldier. Off the grid, soldier.
All right. Off the grid.
Off the grid, soldier.
Off the grid soldier for this episode is a band called CAVASHAWN.
I'm just trying to figure out how they came up with that.
CAVASHAWN, CAVASHAWN,
Yes, sir.
is the name of the band, and they were named the top unsigned artist by MySpace Records. CAVASHAWN originated from Cincinnati, Ohio. While going to school full time, they actually built a name for themselves playing.
Man.
They built a team. They call it the CAVASHAWN Caravan. This is a lesson that you should learn from these guys. They have built an internet network of street team members. So if you use this as a model for what you guys are doing, you can push your movement, create the gravity that you need to draw in more individuals that are going to work for your cause. And there are different ways to do that. We'll get into that on another episode. These off the grid soldiers actually have over 40,000 people following them between Twitter, MySpace, and Facebook.
Talk to me, Hunsberry.
So they actually have a fan base that can support them now. They actually have left Miami, which is where they were going to school, and now they live in Chicago, and there are industry people after them. They have some industry people now that are part of their team, but they are still independent, and they're about to release their own album now.
Well, Mr. Hunsberry, man, let's pull out some lessons from CAVASHAWN's story.
For the rest of this program, click on part 2.
What have you done? What are you doing? And what will you do for the movement? We'll see you guys next time. Thrive off the grid until you can leverage to get back on the grid on your terms, if you so choose.